Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, wherever you are in the world today. And I'm Ross Keating at Nextree Business Growth Consultancy here on the beautiful Gold Coast of Australia. And with me is my co-host today, Craig Jamieson, up in Boise, Idaho. And he tells me it's still winter up in Boise, Idaho. Is that right, Craig?
It's still a little wintry here in Boise, Idaho.
Yeah, well,
A little bit.
I've got my hands over the Barbie. I'm keeping my hands over
That's
mate.
right. Yeah.
How's,
We
how's
Barbie all year round here. Well, mostly for warmth. We do it in the house.
Folks, we hold these sessions every fortnight here live on LinkedIn and Facebook, and we do it every second week. So some people call it bi-weekly, some people call it fortnightly, and we'll say every second week. And we're talking about business growth, things, CRM, things in sales, how to turn prospects into customers and customers into repeat customers is fundamentally what we're wanting to do. And a bit about me is that I've been an independent business consultant for over 15 years now. And there's only five things I can help a business with, and the business owners and the executives with. And that is I help them increase sales, close more sales more quickly, get more bang for the marketing buck, help them with getting more efficiency for themselves and their team and productivity, and ultimately increase profitability. Everything else that we discuss here is the aim is to bring it back to those points. Now, both Craig and I are specialists in customer relationship management systems, CRM, and strategies and processes. And I'm also a certified coach of Bank, the personality assessment tool, which is the only one scientifically proven to actually predict a buyer's behavior in less than 90 seconds. But today we're going to be talking about tips for successful implementation, and I'm just going to turn this over to Craig right now.
All righty. So, Ross, I think I'm just going to let you ask some questions here, and I'll go through the slides. And, we're going to be talking about, Ross and I are both nimble solution partners. But, this is applicable regardless of whether or not you're looking at Nimble or you're looking at one of the other CRMs that are available on the market. There's only like about 10,000 to choose from. So, I'd say like 2 weeks from now, we're going to have a gentleman on that's familiar with all 10,000 of them. So he'll be talking about choosing your right CRM. But certainly implementing it and getting a successful implementation, which is where Ross and I come in. This is what we do with clients based on our experience and everything. We wanted to share a few tips with you. So what's the first thing you're thinking about, Ross?
Well, when we talk about this, and let's just put that just to remind everybody that we're sitting around the barbecue here and cooking a bit. And the thing that is, how about involving users? That seems to be one that I always find that is the key to it. It is users, but how do we get them involved? What's the key behind this?
All right, well, let's talk about that. First of all, I did want to unveil our new logo. As opposed to spending thousands and thousands of dollars on having somebody come up with something. I did this on PowerPoint. I hope everybody enjoyed it. But it gets the point across. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about your users. One of the biggest mistakes that I see people make when they're thinking about doing a CRM is, it's the owner or the CEO or whoever decides, well, we need to have a CRM for our business. And then they go out and they pick a CRM, and then they send out a memo to everybody and says, okay, training starts Monday on our new CRM. And absolutely nobody that was or that's going to be using the CRM was even aware that the company was looking for a CRM, let alone what it does or why they want it or, which one or anything, right? And you've got to involve your users, people that are going to be using the system, your managers, your advocates, and you got to involve them early. I mean, nothing's going to derail you quicker than just bring it as a surprise. Okay. You're probably going to get enough pushback from certain people at any rate. But if you surprise them, you're going to be, I mean, it's just going to be a tough road to hoe the whole way through here. So get them involved early. Get them involved in the process of, one of the things we're going to talk about here, defining what it is you want it to do and how you want to do it, et cetera. They may have needs that you're not familiar with. They may have some really great ideas, or for that matter, they may have some concerns. But, if you get them involved early and get that user buy-in, that is going to go a long way towards a successful implementation. I can't stress this enough. If you haven't done that, it's really, really going to be difficult. But the other thing, besides having them be involved and helping to, to design and define everything that we're looking for in a CRM, is you want to get their commitment that they're going to attend the training and that they're going to utilize the system. I've seen, and we'll talk a little bit about training toward the end here, but I've seen so many cases where, you've got users that are signed up for the system and they don't attend any of the training, and they're probably going to use it later. No. Okay. So you need to get a commitment from them. They're going to attend the training and they're going to use the system. I mean, we're talking about change here. Change is uncomfortable. Nobody likes change. Okay. But the only way that you get past that is by actually using and learning it and making it part of your daily process. You're probably going to want to have some advocates who will be within your organization who are going to promote the system and then also support people on the system, and then also be there to outline, any little things that need to be adjusted. Maybe we need to do this. Maybe we need to change this process a little bit. But people that are in there actively doing it, and of course, you need an administrator who's going to manage the system. Once again, support users. And I hate to use a term, but it's hold them accountable. To using it. If you get that buy-in early on and you get that commitment, they should be accountable for doing it. I mean, speaking as an owner, which I've spent a lot of my time, if I invested in a CRM and if I invested all the man hours and everything, and I invested the money to have myself or Ross train, and then people didn't, take advantage of the training, I'd be a little bit upset. And I'm being polite about it. So that's basically that. So what else you got there, Ross?
Well, just before we move on with that, how important is it to have the senior leadership group of the organization, whether it's a smaller company with maybe 5 or 10 employees and there's the 2 directors there, but they've got somebody saying bring it in, to even a large organization where you've got a CEO and an executive team? How important is it to get them to buy into it?
Well, and that's a good question. I think, with Nimble, we're mostly dealing with small business. But, it starts, they don't necessarily have to be hands-on with it. I mean, if you're talking about a larger company, but I think that their support of the people that are below them that are heading this initiative people need to be aware that they have the backing of upper management. I think is the answer to that question.
Yeah. And I think my next question probably falls into what comes next, but how do you get that buy-in? Because, to me, it's about what's in it for me? So what is in it for me? But maybe that'll come out of the next couple of questions. And so we're involving the managers and advocates. What's next?
Okay, well, let's talk about, and that's a really good question. We can go on to the next one here. Why do you want a CRM? That's one of the first questions you have to answer. Is it something that you're looking at to increase your sales? Is it something that you're looking to provide better customer service? Is it something that, there could be all different reasons. I just want to maintain, complete contact information that can be accessible by anybody. But, every business, I think it's great to answer that question. Now, that's going to also answer your question about everybody's favorite radio station, WIFM. What's in it for me, right? So, for example, as a salesperson, right? And if I'm going to get buy-in from salespeople, because salespeople traditionally aren't real excited about CRM. I mean, that's just the way it is. Part of it is that, they see it as a data entry, that type of thing, which they're not really comfortable with. But if they can be shown that, it's going to help them to sell more stuff and to take better care of their clients and to get more business from their existing clientele, I mean, that's what's in it for them. Okay, so, but they need to understand that that's available. They're going to have to do a couple of things to do it, but it shouldn't be something that's like a huge type of step that's going to, hold their old apple cart. But this is also comes out when you're talking about concerns. So some people, salespeople in particular, you get salespeople that are like, well, you're going to be looking over my shoulder. This is a way for you to keep your thumb on the back of my neck.
Yeah.
Or my knee or whatever on the back of your neck. Well, that's not it at all. I mean, if that's what you want it to do, I mean, I guess you can use it for that, but I mean, that's not what I would use it for. I want it to make it something where we can help them to sell more stuff. And I'm not interested in, if I've got to monitor everything you do, I don't want you on my team anyway. I value you for being a self-starter and getting out and doing things, right? But so you have to answer that question. Why do you want it? What needs do you expect to solve, and what features will you need to have it have? And that's, once again, that's a discussion that comes up with the users. What do we want it to do? What do we want? And because once again, there's so many different CRMs out there. The last thing you want to do is get knee deep into a CRM and then later on to find out that it doesn't do what you really want it to do. So it's not like a horse race. This is a tortoise versus a hare type of thing. Take the time to really identify what you're looking for. If you're thinking about integrating it with other applications, if so, what? Integration is a term that means different things to different people. I say, well, Nimble integrates with this. Well, how does it integrate? Exactly what integrates, whatever. You're going to have to do your homework. And that's going to mean in a lot of cases, you're going to have to be talking with people from the CRM company. You're going to have to be talking with people from this other, you want it to integrate with Constant Contact or MailChimp or whatever it may be, or QuickBooks or whatever. So get the details, okay? And then also be aware that as you start getting more, what's the word I'm looking for? The word escapes me. We're doing a lot of integrations. We're getting a lot more things going on here. What I'm getting at is your price is going up at the same time here. So keep that in mind. You're looking at usually a higher tier subscription cost for the CRM and maybe even your other application. Maybe there's a third-party data connector that's involved in that. So you're looking at that, plus you're looking at maintenance and you're looking at training and all that. So the costs are starting to go up. So you have to, it's a balancing act that you need to come up with. It's, okay, I'd like to have this, but do I really need it, right? If it's going to cost me $10,000, I'd like to have it, but I can get by without it, right? Okay.
Yeah.
What are your overall expectations from it? Are they realistic? And then how are you going to gauge its success? I mean, if it's in sales, I can say, well, we're going to increase our closing ratios. We're going to get more deals going, whatever they may be. So, but these are things that you need to be thinking about.
And
there's more. You also have to understand what your process is. So every company has processes. Processes are the stages that you go through from point A to point B. So here's the two most common ones. when we're talking about sales, which, and CRM to me is typically a sales focused function. What's your sales process? Sales process meaning I start here with an opportunity and I go to the next stages, whether it goes into estimating and the next stages that I did the proposals presented, whatever. Your sales process typically is what becomes your pipeline in sales. And it is what is going to monitor and allow you to manage deals and opportunities that you have going, okay? And it's also used to generate things like a sales forecast, okay? How do you handle incoming leads? Okay, that would be another process. I get the initial lead comes in, I assign it to somebody to do the investigation. I have an initial call, I determine if they're qualified. If they're qualified, I then assign that to whoever it is for follow-up from that point forward. Okay, that's a process.
Excuse me, Craig, can I ask a question here? Where do you have a leads? Should they be part of the deal or the opportunity cycle, or should they be kept like they're a separate workflow or something like that? Where does it sit? Where does handling of leads come?
Well, okay, well, and that's a good question, Ross. Typically, I would say that the difference between the point where a lead becomes an opportunity is where it breaks off and it moves into it leaves the lead process, the lead workflow, and now it becomes an opportunity. So the lead is largely about qualifying. Yep. Is this a good match? I mean, are these folks a good match for the product or service that we provide? I mean, do they have the money? Do they have the authority? I mean, all those, typical things that it's all different companies qualify their leads different ways. And Nimble has templates for that as far as that goes, or you can create your own. Once it's been qualified and they want to do business, now comes the point where you're going to be that's when it becomes what I call a deal or an opportunity. And a deal and an opportunity differs from a lead based on a number of different things. One is it usually has a dollar value, whereas a lead doesn't, because a lead is just determining whether or not there's a basis for us to perhaps do business. It has a dollar value. It has an expected date to convert to close into sold business. It also has a percentage probability of closing. And that would be, nobody gets 100% of the deals that they work on. There's different ways that you can look at this. You could say, well, you could look at it as an individual deal and say, well, I give this a 50-50 chance. So there's 50% chance I'm going to close it. That's extremely important when you look at your forecast. If I know, like, I have a 50% close ratio and I'm expected to close $100,000 worth of deals every month, I need to have $200,000 worth of deals in my pipeline that would close this month in order to hit that 100,000 based on a 50% closing ratio. However, okay, going back to your initial question, if you want to put it all into a leads workflow, or if you want to put it all into a pipeline workflow, keeping in mind that there's certain limitations, you can do that also. Part of what you and I do for people, Ross, is we make Nimble work for their particular needs.
Yeah.
So I've given you the typical, right?
Right. Yeah. Everything is typical, but it's customization.
Yeah, but and custom fields of data too. There may be part of the stuff that you're trying to keep track of requires custom fields of data. So you need to identify those. Part of this, defining the process and doing all of this, is these are things that are going to have to be addressed when you're initially setting up your CRM. So if you're thinking about this ahead of time, One, you're making sure that, you're going to get a CRM that's going to meet these needs, right?
Yeah.
And two, you're also getting this information ready to make it smooth and easy transition into getting the CRM set up and running much more quickly and much more effectively than it is trying to do it like, as you can.
That's right.
It just does it better. Walking into it, the first meeting saying, okay, I'm ready. I know what custom fields I need. I've got my my pipeline, my sales process. I've got my leads process. I've got we have some other processes we'd like to. Okay, fine. Bam, 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 bam. We set them up and we're ready to go.
Well, Craig, we've covered that really simple part of the process of implementing a CRM successfully. There's some fantastic tips. Just before we sign off, because we're getting close on time here, like we try to do, what would be the one thing out of those three aspects you talked about today? What's the most important part that they have to get right to make it a successful CRM implementation?
Well, I'm going to go real quick here because we got a couple of things here. First of all, if you've got existing data, you're going to want to bring that in, existing data, whether it's from another CRM or spreadsheets or whatever. Garbage in, garbage out. Okay. So you want to make sure that it's clean and it's properly formatted. Okay. And then the other thing is you need to determine what data do you want to move. I mean, some of the data you may or may not be able to move. Typically, you can bring in contact records, but you can't bring in things like notes and tasks and that type of thing. Now, this vary by CRM. But the other thing is there might be data that is on your existing data that you want to bring over that you can bring into the CRM, but you need to have a place to put it in the CRM.
Yeah.
So you need to identify those fields of information so that we can create custom fields first. But, then the last thing is really, first of all, I think that you're welcome to try to do all this on your own, knock yourself out. And there's lots of videos you can watch. Okay. But I think, investing in training with somebody that knows the system is going to go a long way towards your success. But, I've seen these red flags, when I do training with other companies here. We get people that are signed up, they have an account on Nimble, whatever, and then they never attend any of the training sessions.
Yes.
And I'm like, this probably isn't going to work really well. So, you know what? That's not my job. That's management's job.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they don't work for me. I'm just a hired gun, right? So, you need to say, hey, you know what, folks, we made the investment here. You need to attend the sessions. Now, I record all these sessions. So if for some reason people aren't able to attend, there's a recording. But I can guarantee you that most of these people that don't attend the sessions, they don't watch the recordings either.
Yeah.
But once again, I can't do that. Don't try to do too much too fast. Work on the system between sessions and complete the tasks that are assigned. Okay. Part of, these things to work on between the sessions is establishing, the cadence of how you work through the system, getting your level of comfort up with a few things at a time. I mean, typically, when I train people, I'm usually training them either once a week or twice a week maximum. So there's going to be a few days in between at any rate where there's certain things that can be worked on, but you have to work on it because otherwise people give up too easily. Change is uncomfortable, but you want it to become reflex. When you practice it, it becomes reflex. If you don't practice it, it will always be uncomfortable. Okay. Yeah. Lots of resources for helping you learn, but you need to leverage them. So that is my 10 cents on that. So, and that certainly doesn't cover everything that you possibly talk about, but given the fact that we've got a half hour to do this, I think we did pretty well.
I think we go really well. One of the things, it's just so important. You're talking about the buy-in. To me, getting the buy-in of the managers. And you talked about, one thing you talked about back there was the using the CRM as the measuring stick. You can, and it's important to use the CRM for that measuring stick, but it doesn't, if you do it the right way, it doesn't have to be Big Brother is watching you. With the number of, when I'm working with customers to implement a CRM, I say to them, particularly the owners and the managers of the business, don't use it to threaten people. Use it to get information out and make it easier for them. And what I sort of say, if it's in the CRM, you look in the CRM first before you see that. Ask the salespeople and the people that are implementing, maybe customer service people, ask them, look for the information, but ask them the information that is adding value to what you can see. And to me, that, that way I save time. It means that the managers are not having to try and find time to have a meeting with a staff member about something. They can look at, oh yeah, they went and did these sales calls. This is what's happened. And with the sales team, I would say to them, a big thing about a CRM, it means that if you're away sick, a colleague can look after your sales territory. When you come back, you can see what they did and have the actions to follow up. You're not guessing. And that was one of the biggest selling points of getting a CRM in and getting them to use it, because then there's something in it for them. That was my.
I just want to be, I just want to be reminded that, I promise that I get back to this person in 2 weeks, or that I should get back to this person in 2 weeks, because otherwise I'm going to miss out on this opportunity. I mean, that's half the challenge. When you're dealing with, if you're a busy salesperson and you're dealing with all these different customers and prospects and actual customers and all of this, and you're trying to manage all this type of stuff, and you're trying to remember everything, good luck with that.
Yes.
I mean, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it when I was 20. I sure as hell can't do it when I'm 70. So I don't even know what I had for breakfast this morning. But, that's what a CRM does. It keeps you on track, so that you don't miss out on those opportunities. But you let it do that for you. You let it help you sell.
And when we talked about customization and the customer feels, in the training, two things I'd like to point out. I use the 80-10-10 rule. 80% of what you want should be in your CRM from the day it goes live. You do 80% of that. Another 10% can come on stream anywhere between 3 to 12 months later. And there's going to be 10%, if you implement it, it's going to make it go over time, over budget, and you're going to make it more inefficient because you're trying to implement ways. The joy of having CRMs now that are connected through the internet, and you buy them as services or software, is that you're getting world class, because they're actually getting all the updates from all the customers, and you get it the next day when they make a release. And that is just such a big thing. But so many people try to customize their old work practices, which is not necessarily the best way. Take advantage of the CRM to do that. It's just so important. 80-10-10 is one of my rules for that. But Craig, we're coming up to that. What are we doing the next one? Let's tell our listeners what we're doing.
Well, we've got Rich Bond, and Rich says that he is the oldest living CRM analyst. Now, Ross is kind of surprised because he thought I was the oldest living CRM analyst.
I can't remember. It didn't cross my mind.
Which hurt my feelings, but Rich has been around forever. He's very, very well known with the industry. And get this, he's another Idaho guy. So here we are, the Idaho being in the hotbed of the CRM industry. So Rich has agreed to come on and share some of his, he's been doing it for, he was creating CRMs back on Apple IIs back in the day. So he's been around.
Well, I look forward to hearing what Rich has to say about the CRMs. It's great to have somebody who has an overview and an in-depth look at CRMs across the board, because that means it's going to help people who are looking at systems other than Nibble. And Nibble doesn't fit every business. No CRM does. That's why
Barbie. We'll
500.
have taters on the Barbie and one shrimp.
Yeah. Because there's quality in the shrimp and not a lot in the potato. Okay, Craig, thanks very much for your insights on how to have a successful customer relationship management implementation. Folks, if you've got any questions or you've got some tips of your own, please share them in the comments below the post that you're seeing this on live on, or if you're watching on broadcast. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch it on broadcast. And if you want us to cover any particular topics or questions, drop them in the comments below, email us, contact us. And you've seen I've been running in the ticker on the bottom, free time with Craig, and also time with myself. You're welcome to at any time to make that with us. So thanks very much. And we will look to see you next time on the 20th of March. Is that right? 19th of the US.
20th.
20th
for the US.
And I get, and 21st my time. So thanks very much, folks. Have a fantastic day each and every day.